So, I've been seeing people play warriors wrong. In the stats, it shows that if you play 4 warrior, you're most likely to lose. This is where Exterior is here to teach you Fiora Gwen Carry. In this video, we'll cover the strongest items, strongest units, and strongest augments. Our main units we want to itemize is Fiora and Gwen, and for a backline DPS, Karma would be best for this comp. For Fiora, her core item is Bloodthirster, and her best in slots would be Bloodthirster with Sterax and Titans. If you don't have Bloodthirster on her, she can't really function as a unit, so this is core on her. For items you want to flex around, you could do like Edge and Knight, or even Haj, and by the way, no, Haj is not a Bloodthirster substitute, it's just a good +1 addition. Or if you can't find any items at all for Fiora, the Eclipse is also fine. Her best artifact items hands down is Silvermere, or even Infinity Force. For Gwen, her core item is blue buff. If you have this item on her, she becomes a beast. And her best in slot is blue buff, Jewel Gauntlet, and Haj. And Jewel Gauntlet and Haj, these two synergize really well together because you get more crit, so you can make your Jewel Gauntlet more effective. The items you can flex around would be to have like an Onyx Spark. Onyx Spark is really good because it gives you magic resist shred, so therefore it makes Karma and Gwen do extra damage. Bloodthirster is also really good on Gwen because it also gives AP, so you can flex around between Fiora or Gwen to have Bloodthirster, or you can just build both with Bloodthirster. Crown Guard's a very good item to like get rid of your rods early game, and is also pretty decent on Gwen. And then just the usual AP items such as Death Cap and Gunblade for healing. For our artifact items, the best one would be Zonia's or even Seeker's Arm Guard. If you can't make a blue buff, Mana Zane's also really good on Gwen. Another thing to note that Infinity Force is also good on Gwen as well, if you have to put it on her. For Karma's core item would be to have anti-heal such as Murloc. If you have an anti-heal item on her, she'll become a beast with it. And her best in slot is to have either Murloc, blue buff, and Archangel stats to amplify her damage. The items you can flex around would be like if you need mana items, Shojin, or even Adaptive Helm is fine. If you can't make a Murloc, red buff is also a good anti-heal item. And then just the usual AP items such as Death Cap, and even Natural Stoof is good on her. Our artifact items you want to put on her would be Light and Jeweled. This item is actually really powerful in Karma. You put this on her, your placements go even higher because it's just that good on her. Or even DFG is pretty decent because it's just an okay like AP item if you need it. For our emblems, the best one to play for this comp most likely be Preserver. Good thing to note for this set would be because we have a pan now to make Preserver spat. It'll be pan plus cloak equals Preserver. But if you have a spatula instead, you can reforge it into a pan and then just make the Preserver spat with the cloak. And then same thing with the warrior. If you don't have a pan and you have a spat, just reforge it, it turns into a pan. It'll be plus glove to make a warrior. But I wouldn't really recommend playing warrior too often unless you kind of have to do it. But if you have a warrior crest, it's not too bad to have. If you want to support this type of content so we can keep making more of it, consider hitting that like button and subscribe so we can keep this channel flourishing. Now back to the video. For our units, we have a lot of openers to choose from, and this might kind of look like a lot because there's different types of openers you can do. And this one I would say is probably like the strongest one, which is Eldritch opener and multi-strikers with Ashe. So how you do this is to have Nyla as the Fiora item holder, Elise as the Gwen item holder, and then you have Ashe for 3 Eldritch. Akali is a really good +1 addition because you get warrior and you get multi-striker. And then if you need extra tank, Jace is a good one for shapeshifters with Elise, and you just throw in a Jax for extra multi-strikers with Ashe. This will carry you pretty far, and you probably win streak pretty hard with it. Another opener that's pretty decent is, this one won't really like win streak you too far, but at least it'll save you a lot of HP, is the Frost opener, and you have it with Warwick as the Fiora item holder, Zillion as the Gwen item holder, and then Twitch as a +1. Then just throw in extra tanks for like example as Blitzcrank is also Vanguard with Warwick, and you also get Hunter with Twitch. Not really a tank, but like it gives you a +1 synergy. And you just throw in like other units over time so you can like keep winning streaking. For our third opener, this one is Portal opener, where you have Jace as the Fiora item holder, Zoe as the Gwen item holder, and then you have a tank such as Galio. Fill it up with extra tank units such as Blitzcrank for Vanguard with Galio, or Elise with Shapeshifter with Jace, and you kind of get the idea. Just throw out like extra tanks. For our fourth opener, and this one's actually really good, I would say, is Scholar Bastion, and this is Poppy with the Fiora item holder, Ari as the Gwen item holder, or you can make Zoe as the Gwen item holder, but Ari is just a better unit. And then you have Lilia as the Bastion unit for Poppy, and you store extra Bastions over time. Lastly, if you can't make a Bloodthirster opener, you can do a blue buff opener with Honeymancy with Ziggs. If you have to make a blue buff first item slam, you can just throw it on him and just throw out the rest of the Honeymancy, such as Blitzcrank and Nunu for tanks. And then you can throw in like extra tank units such as Poppy and Rumble, because you get like synergies for Blitz and Nunu. And then Cassiopeia also synergizes with Poppy because they both get Witchcraft, and you also get Encounter with Ziggs. So this is a really strong opener, and this is what I use to win in the tournament for the NA sub-regionals. Just one game, not the overall tournament. And these are like openers you don't have to strictly follow, it's just good examples that I like to use. Once we get past our early game phase and hit level 8, we want to play for the rest of our board, which is Fiora, Gwen, Karma, and Preserver units such as Rakan, Bard, Zillion, and our tank such as Shapeshifters as Nasus and Nico. And you just put the tank items on either Nico, Nasus, or Rakan. if you have leftover tank items. If you low roll, meaning that if you can't hit like a Rakan or Gnosis for whatever reason, you can just use a Cassiopeia, and then since Nico's a shapeshifter, you can also throw in like a Swain if you have to. Or if you are really limited, then you could just use Wukong too instead. But Cassiopeia is really good because she's also witchcraft with Nico and Fiora, and she's also an encounter with Karma. So you get some pretty good synergies there. Once you hit level 9, you can just throw in a +1 unit, which is Morgana, so you can have 4 preservers on the board. Or you could just take out Rakan if you can't find them. You can keep Cassiopeia in, so you can get 4 witchcraft on the board. And then if you want a better unit, you can swap out Gnosis for the Briar. I meant to put this other way around, but you kind of get the point. But Briar is just a better unit than Gnosis. For our augment order, this is what I like to do every time, because we want to play tempo, which is for our first augment, econ or item's the best one. If not, then you go item or econ. And then for our third one is either combat or item. As you see here, is always item majority of the time, because the more items you have, the more power you have on the board. For our econ augments, the first one you can pick up would be like Spoils of War. Is actually really good because since you're gonna be winning most of the time in the early game, you get a lot of extra resources with Spoils of War. Precise planning is actually pretty decent for the early game for extra money because you get a lot of gold from this if you know how to use this properly. You have to have at least 3 units on the board left from your side or the enemy side, then you get like 3 gold on top of that. Speaking of gold, raining gold is also good for that. Epoch is good for like tempoing because you get 2 free rerolls and you get like a couple of XP. Or if you just need like just straight up money for second augment, balanced budget is fine for that. Or even Tiny Tines is good for money overall. For our item augments, Big Grab Bag is the best one overall, because you can use any type of components for like the whole board. You have my swords okay for Fiora, and speaking of Fiora, Unleash the Beast is the best augment for her. Sleight of Hand and Band of Thieves are just good like these close items. For our combat, because we have a lot of items, Item Collector is good for that. And then speaking of a lot of different stuff, since we have a lot of different synergies, Stand United is pretty good for that. And since we're most likely playing Preserver majority of the time, Preserver Crest is good for this comp. Combat Bandages, Avenge the Fallen, and Giant Mighty are good meta combat augments. And for those of you who don't know what tempo is, because even though I kept saying it, you probably don't understand what it means. How you do this is at stage 2-1, you level to 4. At stage 2-3, make 10 gold, or if you have more in intervals of 10, like for example like 20 or 30. If you have like around like the 14 range, 24, 34, pre-level to 5, and it'll look something like this, which is 8 out of 10 XP. The reason why you want to do that is because when you get out of carousel, you have a level 5 shop, and that means you have a possible chance to get upper class units. But if you don't do this pre-level thing, then you can just level to 5 at stage 2-4 instead. So you can have a +1 unit. At stage 2-6, make 20 gold or 30 gold, just intervals of 10, because you make a lot of money doing this. If you don't, you might be poor for the rest of the game. At stage 3-2, hit level 6, so you can keep tempoing. At stage 3-7, or any time you want before that, hit level 7, which is basically around wolves. At stage 4-2, or even earlier, like 4-1, you can hit level 8 and roll for your board. It would be better if you have a lot of money, so you can do it at 4-1, so you can roll for your units, so you don't get contested. Starting off with our gameplay video, and this gameplay video is from my tournament for the NA sub-regionals. We have Caramelize as our first augment, which we rolled. We have Pumping Up, we also rolled. Slammin's pretty good because we get free XP, but we want to like win streak because we have a level 2 Blitzcrank, so we chose Potable Forage. And since our Potable Forage is pretty good right here, we get Eternal Winter for our tank item for Blitzcrank 2. We're just going to take that, and with our components, which is Rod, Cloak, and Tear, we decide to make an Onyx Spark on top of the Eternal Winter, so we can do a lot of damage. And since our units are kind of bad at the moment, we try to like stabilize with the best units we can, which is 2 Enchanters and 2 Vanguards. And as you see on top here, we're actually doing really well too for the tournament, which is 5th, 2nd, 3rd, and 2nd. Not the flex, but it's pretty good. And as we see here, we swap our board to Honeymancy with 2 Vanguards still. And as we see here, we're still 100% HP, and we're about to win streak. But this fight is actually pretty close. I'm gonna fast forward a little bit, as we're right here, as the last moment of our round is either we lose streak or win streak. And I decided, okay, since we won this round somehow, barely, we're gonna keep win streaking. And also notice too, we also made 10 gold. So this is the best point to talk about tempo here, because if you have 10 gold during this round, you're going to be pretty healthy for the rest of the game. And then after that, 2-5, we're trying to make a better board here. As you see here, we're trying to look for like more pairs or like level 2. And then we hit level 5 right here in this turn, so we can keep tempoing and play a stronger board this way. And then we're just going to sell some stuff here in a minute so we can make 10 gold. And then during that round, we sold some stuff to make 11 gold, and we won this turn to keep win streaking. As you see here during our Krug round, we actually won in a 5 streak, meaning we're 100% HP, and we're trying to like make intervals of 10 gold, so we have 30 gold, and we're going to keep going strong with this. For our second augment here, we kind of want either econ or item augment, but since I feel like we're super duper strong, we're gonna roll the other 2 and keep Final Ascension. And think about it, maybe we're just gonna do Final Ascension instead. because we're super strong here with blue buff Ziggs, which is not level 2 sadly, but we are winning with it. And we decided to hit level 6 here because it's stage 3-2. You want to hit level 6 so you can keep tempoing. And you see our units here, we have 4 Honeymancies, and it does work like this too if you have 2 level 2 Blitzcrank. The Honeymancy will transfer to the other units, and it does work like this. So therefore, we're going to play our strongest board, which is what we have now, and we're pivoting Rise, just in case we play Rise instead of Karma. Around stage 3-5, I decided to hit level 7 here. Because we're super duper strong, we have 3 tank items on our Blitzcrank. We decided to do that so we can keep win streaking. And yes, we're going to be a little bit below 50 gold, but it is worth it in the long run if I can keep the streak going to a 10 streak at Wolves. Crazy enough, at Wolves, we did hit 10 streak. Therefore, we have 50 gold now, so we can keep our economy strong. As you see our board here, we still stuck with the Ziggs 1, so most likely we're going to end up losing here, which I fast forwarded it a little bit, and we did lose, which is fine because we have a lot of money, 7-3 gold, with healthy amount of HP, which is 88. For our third augment here, we didn't even hesitate to roll the other 2 augments and just take big grab bag, because it is the best augment to choose for this comp, and we're going to be rolling down at stage 4-2, hit level 8, try to stabilize our board, and as we're rolling down here, we finally hit Karma, and as we fast forward a little bit, we hit our Gwen 2, and even a Fiora there. So we're trying to transition as fast as we can, so we can save a lot of HP. And this is our current board right now, which is Fiora, Gwen, and Karma, which is our main carries, and we have our random tanks, such as Nico and our Nasus. Took out the Nunu and put in the Zillion so we can get 2 Chrono. And then because we transitioned our board, we actually won this turn because we have Gwen 2 with Bloodthirster and Titans. As you see here on stage 5-1, we're actually really healthy with 78 HP, and we're actually at 46 gold. Our board looks pretty decent. Tanked Nico with our second DPS, Gwen, and our backline DPS, which is Karma. Fiora doesn't have any items, which is fine, but we're gonna look to try to hit level 9 and play the rest of our board later. We finally reached our last round here. We finally got items on Fiora, we got a Morgana 2 tank now, we transferred items from Nico to Morgana, and this is how the round will look like in the end for this end game board. Oh, I got first? Holy wait, what? I just destroyed him? So if you learn a lot from this gameplay, you will learn that tempoing is actually very important because you want to play for level 9 to win games this way. So if you master tempoing, you can play almost any comp. And that's it for my Fiora Gwen Carry guide. If you have any questions, just let me know down in the comment section down below. I'll try to answer to the best of my capabilities. Until then, I'll see you guys later.